August is here, and the Switch 2 release lineup this month is surprisingly stacked with heavy hitters and sleeper hits you can't afford to miss. We've rounded up 10 essential games dropping throughout the month that deserve a spot on your system. Before we jump in, quick word from today's sponsor. At this point, the horde survival genre is basically the instant ramen of video games. Cheap, wildly addictive, and usually consumed at 2 AM while staring at a screen, asking yourself hard questions. But Jotun Slayer Hordes of Hell takes that classic Vampire Survivors mechanic and tosses it into a blender with God of War, turning the graphics knob up until the engine starts smoking. You play as a cursed warrior trapped in Helheim doing battle with tens of thousands of screaming undead. And while the basic core is familiar, running around auto-smacking monsters, collecting shiny EXP orbs, and stacking elemental god favors like Thor's Lightning or Freya's Frost, it sets itself apart by ditching flat 2D sprites for gorgeous, crisp 3D environments that actually throw real in-run objectives and telegraphed boss fights at you. Take on the new Conan DLC, where you can step into the boots of the legendary Barbarian Master 3 distinct fighting styles and brave the desert realm of Stygia to defeat an undead Jotun. Slice through the hordes together with local 2-player co-op right out of the box using a single Switch 2 and 2 Joy-Cons. Best of all, it just released on the Switch 2, so make sure to check out the link in the description below to grab it. Taking a classic fairy tale about a wooden boy whose nose grows when he lies and turning it into a brutally relentless gothic nightmare is already a wildly bold move, but putting the entire journey together into one ultimate package hits different. Lies of P-Complete Edition bundles the original, brilliantly twisted Puppet Souls-like with its Overture expansion letting you experience the fall of Krat from start to finish without missing a single beat. What made this game stand out in a ridiculously crowded genre wasn't just the obvious dark Victorian inspiration oozing from its slick Belle Epoque architecture, but how tight the actual moment-to-moment combat felt once you got into the rhythm. Mixing and matching blade heads with different handles lets you customize weapon movesets in ways that genuinely change your defensive approach, while the customizable Legion arms give you handy tools like wire hooks and flamethrowers to keep aggressive enemies off your back. Then you have the lying mechanic itself, which subtly shifts dialogue, narrative outcomes, and your character's own physical transformation as you decide whether telling comforting lies makes you more human than speaking cold, harsh truths. With the expansion folded directly into the mix, you get extra context on Krat's tragic demise, expanded lore, and a whole slew of absurdly tough boss encounters that will test whether your parry timing is actually sharp or if you've just been getting lucky the whole time. It delivers that rare, deeply satisfying itch of high-risk melee combat wrapped in top-notch atmospheric world building, making it essential for anyone who likes their action RPGs with a heavy dose of dark elegance, mechanical depth, and relentless puppet violence.
This is the 27th of Last Seed. The year of Akatosh.
Stepping back into the radiant golden pastures of Cyrodiil decades after its original debut feels like an instant hit of pure, unfiltered RPG nostalgia. Only now it looks like a modern visual powerhouse. The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion Remastered pulls off an impressive technical trick by rebuilding the graphics inside Unreal Engine 5 while keeping the iconic, slightly unhinged core engine intact under the hood. That means you get breathtaking volumetric lighting, ray-traced reflections across Imperial armor, and detailed forest foliage without losing the idiosyncratic NPC conversations, ragdoll physics, and chaotic radiant AI that made the original so endearing in the first place. Quality of life improvements like dedicated sprinting, overhauled UI menus, and rebalanced leveling mechanics smoothed out some of the clunkier edges from 2006, making character progression feel far more rewarding whether you're climbing the ranks of the Dark Brotherhood or closing Daedric gates. Every piece of classic downloadable content is included right out of the box. You can jump straight from saving Kvatch to embarking on the legendary Knights of the Nine quest line or losing your mind inside Sheogorath's beautifully surreal shivering isles. The team hit a brilliant sweet spot here by preserving the hilarious charm and meme-worthy dialogue of the original voice tracks, while elevating the visual fidelity to match modern standards. Re-entering Cyrodiil isn't just a trip down memory lane. It's a reminder of why this specific era of open-world role-playing captured our imaginations so completely. Offering hundreds of hours of dungeon crawling, custom spell crafting, and glorious Imperial shenanigans, it effortlessly bridges 2 decades of gaming history into one polished, endlessly replayable adventure that respects the original while giving it the prestige makeover it deserved.
Forsaken place. Blood must spill.
Rolling into the lands between once again might sound like an invitation for self-inflicted punishment, but Elden Ring Tarnished Edition manages to make that terrifying journey feel fresh, even for hardened action RPG veterans. Bandai Namco and From Software packed the entire original base game, along with the massive Shadow of the Erdtree expansion into one comprehensive package, tossing in extra armor sets, new torrent customization options, and freshly minted starting classes like the tanky Heavy Knight to shake up early game character build. What makes returning to this vast world so intoxicating is how seamless the escalation feels when transitioning from conquering the base map into the Land of Shadow, where Miquella's narrative unravels alongside some of the most relentless boss fights ever engineered. Sliding onto your spectral steed with custom gear adds a nice personal flair, but the core hook remains that unmatched freedom of exploration, where wandering down a random elevator shaft leads to an underground galaxy of deadly surprises. Combat still demands absolute focus, rewards tactical experimentation, and brutally punishes greedy button mashing with swift authority. You can spend dozens of hours fine-tuning spirit ashes, swapping ashes of war, or trying out new dexterity-focused weapons from the Idis Knight loadout before realizing you forgot to advance the main storyline. Having every single piece of expansion content bundled together turns an already monumental adventure into a massive, cohesive odyssey that reminds everyone why open-world design hit a historic turning point when From Software originally let players loose with nothing but a rusty sword, a spectral horse, and a dream. It remains an essential journey for anyone brave enough to face the unknown. Channeling the golden era of 3D action platformers while grounding itself in a deeply emotional narrative, Duskfade feels like a long-lost classic from the heyday of 128-bit gaming, brought back with modern finesse. You step into the boots of Zirian, a young workshop apprentice living in a clockpunk universe enshrouded by endless night, tasked with repairing time itself alongside his sister Alira. The gameplay immediately hooks you with movement that feels incredibly tactile and momentum-driven, letting you chain together rail grinding, grappling hook leaps, and aerial dashes through glowing crystal caverns and sprawling mechanical cities. Combat takes inspiration from character action games and weapon-heavy platformers, pairing responsive dodge rolls with punchy melee strikes and gear abilities that make taking down mechanical clockwork foes feel dynamic rather than repetitive. Beneath all the flashy movement and vibrant visuals, however, lies a surprisingly mature story centered on memory, sibling bonds, and processing personal loss, giving real emotional weight to your journey across this perpetual Twilight landscape. The small indie team at Weird Beluga clearly poured their love for classic mascot platformers into every corner, striking a balance between nostalgic level design and modern controls that never feel floaty or outdated. Watching Zirian upgrade his workshop equipment while unlocking new traversal tools makes backtracking through older zones feel genuinely rewarding rather than a chore. It delivers that fast-paced, high-energy platforming rhythm that so many of us grew up loving, proving that there is still plenty of room for creative, narrative-driven 3D adventures that know how to pair kinetic movement with genuine heart, delivering a nostalgic comfort food gaming experience that hits all the right notes from start to finish. Stepping into the shoes of a supreme tactical commander, charged with uniting an entire continent through sheer military dominance, is rarely this satisfying, but Brigandine Abyss brings tactical strategy back into the spotlight with incredible flair, set across the battle-scarred continent of Meltetia. This strategic RPG drops you right in the middle of a multi-front conflict where 6 distinct story-driven factions clash against the reborn Abyssloa Empire. What keeps you glued to the screen is the compelling balance between macro-level realm management and micro-level hex-based tactical warfare. During the organization phase, you're carefully managing resources, upgrading strongholds, and assigning rune knights to command diverse monster-led armies containing everything from fire-breathing dragons to armored giants. Once battle breaks out on the hex grid, position control, elemental advantages, and commander aura zones dictate whether your frontline holds or collapses under pressure. The game elevates the stakes by giving every nation its own unique victory conditions across multiple campaigns, while adding a dedicated mission mode that lets you clear debts or rebuild fallen cities depending on your chosen path. Watching your rookie monsters evolve into terrifying mythical beasts after surviving grueling territorial skirmishes gives every single encounter real emotional weight and long-term payoff. It successfully scratches that old-school grand strategy itch, where every troop movement on the overworld map feels like a calculated game of high fantasy chess, making it an absolute dream for strategy enthusiasts who love deep army customization, territorial conquest, and complex tactical battles where clever positioning decides who rules the continent. Conquering neighboring provinces requires patience, foresight, and a willingness to adapt when enemy commanders launch unexpected counter-offensives against your front lines.
Control of SOP. The Sons of the Patriot system that controls the soldiers.
Preserving video game history can be a surprisingly messy business, but bundling together some of the most stubborn titles from Konami's legendary stealth franchise is an absolute win for tactical espionage fans everywhere. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 finally rescues Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots from its long-standing architectural prison, placing Old Snake's dramatic nanomachine-fueled finale right alongside the team-building operational depth of Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker and the slept-on handheld gem Metal Gear Ghost Babel. What makes diving into this collection so satisfying is not only the sheer nostalgia of creeping through active war zones inside a cardboard box, or crawling under enemy patrols with active camouflage, but seeing how wildly different each entry approached the core stealth formula. Peace Walker brings that ridiculously addictive mother-based management gameplay where recruiting soldiers and building out your tactical arsenal directly fuels your field missions, while MGS4 delivers high-drama cinematic set pieces, complex octo-camo mechanics, and enough long-winded codec calls to fill an actual library. Konami didn't stop at just bundling the games either. They threw in comprehensive master books, full screenplay transcripts, and a massive lore database to help you untangle Hideo Kojima's notoriously sprawling web of conspiracy theories, rogue AI networks, and clone family drama. Controlling Snake through these defining chapters serves as a fantastic reminder of how ahead of its time this series really was when it came to emergent stealth mechanics, cinematic storytelling, and sheer mechanical ambition. It offers modern gamers and old-school stealth operatives an incredible chance to relive gaming's greatest stealth saga in one complete package that respects where the genre came from.
Walking and talking.
Hey, what up?
You and your friends walk around a big open world and talk to
From
each
the
other.
mischievous minds behind Untitled Goose Game comes a different kind of chaos that trades honking at innocent townspeople for getting hilariously lost in the woods with your best friends. Big Walk drops a squad of colorful noodle-limbed adventurers into a massive Australian bushland and asks a simple question: can a group of adults actually communicate effectively to solve environmental puzzles without immediately turning on each other? The core magic lies in its deliberate focus on co-op exploration and proximity-based voice chat, where directional audio and physical distance genuinely matter. You might find yourself standing on a distant ridge trying to yell directions across a canyon, or relying on bizarre hand signals and makeshift whistles when the game deliberately strips away your direct communication tools. Instead of handing you mini-maps or objective markers cluttering up your screen, the world encourages genuine navigation using landmarks, shared notes, and visual cues scattered around the environment. Puzzles range from clever mechanical contraptions requiring synchronized button presses to intricate spatial riddles that practically demand one person act as the designated lookout while everyone else stumbles around in confusion. House has nailed that peculiar blend of laid-back relaxation and emergent multiplayer comedy, creating a world that feels incredibly cozy to look at while simultaneously testing the absolute limits of your group's collective spatial awareness. It proves that simply taking a quiet stroll through nature with friends can instantly devolve into a chaotic comedy of errors, making every successful puzzle solve feel like an accidental miracle born from pure trial, error, and screaming at each other across an empty valley until someone finally figures out where the key goes. Building a theme park filled with giant, extinct apex predators sounds like a recipe for immediate legal liability, but Parkasaurus Dinoluxe Edition turns prehistoric management into an insanely charming, colorful sandbox. What sets this management sim apart from the hyper-realistic park builders is its vibrant, low-poly aesthetic, coupled with a surprisingly deep layer of terrain control and biome tuning. You're not only dropping down fencing, you're actively sculpting hills, painting distinct biomes, adjusting water levels, and planting specific vegetation to ensure your T-Rex doesn't throw a temper tantrum. On top of that, your dinosaurs can wear ridiculous hats, which adds a layer of wholesome absurdity to what is actually a legitimate financial and logistics simulation. The Dinoluxe Edition packages the base game alongside both major expansions, sea monsters, and prehistoric wonders, jacking up the creature roster to 44 distinct species, ranging from woolly mammoths and capybaras to massive aquatic reptiles, living in customized underwater enclosures with fluid water physics, managing staff wages, ticket prices, research trees, and guest satisfaction keeps your brain busy. But when weather disasters hit or a fence fails and a raptor goes on a rampage, the game seamlessly lets you switch to a first-person perspective to personally tranquilize loose dinos and restore order. Beyond basic animal care, you get to unearth fossils and dig site minigames, hatch newborn babies right in their habitats, and construct elaborate viewing plazas. It strikes that rare sweet spot between satisfying tycoon depth and goofy stress-free fun, where watching a Triceratops rock a party hat brings just as much joy as balancing your monthly park budget, making it a delightfully beefy playground for strategy fans.
C'est prêt?
Running a bakery in the heart of modern-day Paris sounds like a dream job on its own, but adding a touch of soul-healing magic turns the witch's bakery into one of the most delightfully charming adventure RPGs around. You take control of Lun, a delightfully optimistic witch who moves to the City of Lights to open her own pastry shop with a magical twist. Instead of just kneading dough and pulling fresh croissants out of the oven, Lun possesses the rare power to peer directly into people's hearts, diagnosing their emotional struggles and crafting enchanted baked goods that help heal their inner turmoil. Once your morning shop duties wrap up, the game opens up into a cozy urban exploration gameplay where you wander through distinct Parisian districts, meet colorful locals, buy specialized recipe books, and participate in side activities to boost your crafting skills. The mechanic of balancing inventory management, learning new magical recipes, and getting emotionally invested in the personal lives of your customer base gives the gameplay a wonderfully wholesome rhythm that never feels stressful. Sunnylab Games nailed the aesthetic here, blending warm pastel visual presentation with relaxing acoustic audio vibes that make simply strolling past French cafes feel genuinely peaceful. It masterfully bridges cozy life sim management with narrative-driven character growth, proving that saving the world doesn't always require swinging a glowing sword when you can fix broken spirits one freshly baked tarte tatin at a time. It stands as a wonderful comfort food RPG that offers a warm, cozy escape for anyone who loves cozy life simulators, heartwarming storytelling, and delicious pastries, whether you're decorating the shop floor, discovering rare magic ingredients, or sitting down for coffee with eccentric locals. Blending monster taming nostalgia with the tactical strain of a roguelike deck builder is a killer combination, and Montabi executes that mashup with tons of personality. Developed by Mankibo and published by Akupara Games, this vibrant indie drops you into a city under siege, where your primary defense involves catching, training, and building a synergized squad of 3 distinct creatures called Montabi. Combat takes place on a tight 3x3 tactical grid where positioning matters just as much as card management, forcing you you to constantly weigh offensive strikes against defensive spacing. What elevates the strategy is that your chosen trainer acts like the king in chess, taking too much direct damage results in an immediate run-ending defeat regardless of how healthy your monsters are. As your Montabi gain combat experience, they evolve into much more formidable forms, unlocking brand new card abilities, gadget slots, and passive charms that alter how your deck functions in subsequent encounters. Between tense tactical battles, you can take a breather at local cafes to restore your team's health points before heading back out to face multi-stage boss encounters. With over 20 starter options and dozens of evolution lines featuring unique playstyles, no two runs ever feel quite the same as you experiment with poison synergies, heavy melee displacement, or supportive meal buff builds. It captures that addictive just one more run gameplay while keeping monster collector fans entertained with quirky creature designs, clever grid mechanics, and deep deck building synergy that rewards smart positioning and tactical foresight at every single turn. It makes every victory feel genuinely earned through clever card combos, tight spatial play, and a little bit of luck when drawing a clutch card.
Okay everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you liked that video, please leave a like and subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to get notified when we release new content. We hope to see you in the next video.